Shut up.
our meeting is still in
Like you.
progress here. Next item on our agenda is 408.19, which is approval of the resignation and resolution agreement. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Buckaloo, support.
Support.
Support by Dr. Weaver. Is there discussion? Mr. Neal, roll call vote.
Mrs. Madell,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mrs. Madell, oh, I already got you. Somehow I marked the wrong one. Excuse me. Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
and President Cox.
Yes. Next
All in
item
favor.
on the agenda is 409.19, which is the approval of appointment of Jill Simmons as interim superintendent. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Weaver, support.
Second.
Second by Mr. Buckaloo. Is there discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
myself, yes. Ms. Madell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
and President Cox.
Yes.
All in favor.
Congratulations, Mrs. Simmons, and thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cox, we didn't do it at the beginning, but we need to make a motion to remove item number 410.19 until the board meeting, the regular scheduled board meeting.
For members of the board, we're waiting for a contract agreement between the Board of Education and Dr. Sue Carnell, allowing her to serve as a consultant. Dr. Carnell has issues regarding her retirement. As you know, she's a retired superintendent. And as a consequence of that, she can't be an interim superintendent for more than a certain number of days, or she would violate the terms of her retirement plan. But she and the district will enter into an agreement to act as a consultant, to be there to help us preserve the continuity of leadership that we've had these last 3 months. That contract has not been completed yet. We will receive it and have it on the agenda on the October 21st meeting. Okay, so motion by Mrs. Walker. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mrs. Madell. Further discussion on this issue? Roll call vote.
Mr. Buckaloo,
Yes.
Dr. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Hines,
Yes.
myself, yes. Ms. Madell,
Yes.
Mrs. Walker,
Yes.
and President Cox.
Yes.
All in favor.
Thank you. Next item is 411.19, which is citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Any citizens wishing to speak on anything at all? Our tigers, anything, is now the time to do it. Would anybody like to speak? Gina? Please.
Just one housekeeping issue first. I just wanted to know the procedure for letting the community know when a special meeting is going to be called. What is the procedure for that, so that, you know, we can plan when we find out? So that's my first question. And I don't know if this is an agenda item or not, but what was the conclusion of the investigation for Dr. Holt? That's my other question. And the other question is approximately how much money was spent for attorney fees, as we've been going on since June, maybe? June, when the attorneys were, I guess, hired for this issue that we had with Dr. Holt. And I guess the last one, I don't know if this is an agenda item or not, but I know that you said that Sue Carnell will possibly be brought on as a consultant, but you are appointing an interim. Is the plan to operate in that manner going forward, to have a consultant and an interim? Or is the plan to actually hire a superintendent, and then what is the procedure for that?
Thank you, ma'am. With respect to some of those questions, we'll put you in touch with Jenny Johnson, our communications director.
to a follow-up on that, when I spoke with you after the last board meeting that I attended, and I had asked questions about the procedure for the superintendent, you informed me to call Ms. Jenny and Johnson, no disrespect. And I called 3 different times, and I didn't get a response back. And then one time, somebody who answered the phone referred me to a male person. Unfortunately, I didn't write his name down, and I left a message on his voicemail, and I still didn't get a call back. So that's like 4 different attempts to find out information about the Wayne Westland School District, and have not been successful. So I know you just mentioned for me to do that again, and so I'm like, I'm not feeling too comfortable with that because it didn't work for me last week. So
Well,
is there
I-
another option?
I wish you better luck moving forward, but she's our communications director, and if you have trouble with that, you can always call Ms. Simmons as the interim superintendent. And I'll have a statement at the end of the meeting today about some of the other issues, so thank you. Is there anyone else like to address the board? Seeing now, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is review and recommendations of members of the Board of Education, 412.19. Mr. Buckaloo.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to start by saying thank you to Dr. Carnell for everything that she's done for us this past little while. I have nothing but the deepest regard for her professionalism and for the fine service that she's done for us. I'm looking forward to completing a contract with her to serve as a consultant. I'd like to suggest that I have all the confidence in the world in Ms. Simmons, and that she's going to do us very well in the interim position as we move towards the end of the school year. This is a bad time to be looking for a superintendent. To begin with, that pool is never very deep. There are very few qualified, experienced people anywhere who are willing to take on the job of being a superintendent. And in the middle of the school year, that's extremely difficult. So as we get closer to the end of the school year, to June, as we get into January and February and March, we might begin that process of looking for someone who will be available to serve as a full-time superintendent. And that would not exclude anyone who already is an employee of this school district. So with that, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Buckaloo. Mrs. Hines?
I do concur with Mr. Buckaloo, what he said about this is bad timing for trying to find a new superintendent, because there are a lot of districts looking for superintendents as well. I really hope that we can promote from within so we can continue our 5-year strategic plan. And so I really pray that we can keep it in-house to keep the employees comfortable and really get this settled, like Dr. Buckaloo said. Because like you said, the pool of applicants, everybody's already placed in their school districts. So I like what Mr. Buckaloo said as well. Hopefully we can keep it internal.
Thank you, Mrs. Hines. Mr. Buckaloo, you got promoted and demoted in the same comment.
Thanks a lot.
Dr. Weaver?
Yes, congratulations, Mrs. Simmons. And we appreciate your work as well as we do all of our administrators and teachers, parapros, custodians. I'm getting in trouble now with the labor group because I'm not remembering everything, but I think it would be very well for us just to move on, concentrate on the work of the district, and move forward as a board. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Weaver. Mrs. Madell?
This has been a tough time for our school district and for our school board and for our community. And it amazes me that this school district works as well as it does, regardless of good times, bad times. It just keeps chugging along, and we need to keep moving forward for the benefit of our students. They deserve our best, and our best may not compare to a gross point, but it's our best, and they deserve the best that we can give them.
Thank you, Mrs. Madell. Mrs. Walker?
Ms. Simmons, just know if he brings you to it, he will bring you through it. You have plenty of support, and you will do fine. Okay?
Wonderful. Mr. Neal?
Ms. Simmons, thank you for shouldering the responsibilities of superintendent. We very much need you, and I am absolutely thrilled that Dr. Carnell has agreed to stay on as a consultant. I have nothing but huge respect, glowing comments for Dr. Carnell. I got to spend many days with her, going from school to school and watching her assess our schools and work with our teachers, our staff. She's phenomenal, and I know the two of you together will be absolutely wonderful for our district, and thank you again. I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. A member of the press came up just a while ago and made a statement regarding her attempt to gain some information from central office on what was going on. And we will make certain that the press always gets the information that they need. However, things have been in such a state of flux and things changing so rapidly. I know that you called me on the telephone and asked me questions which I just wasn't at liberty to have a candid conversation with you about for reasons that should be obvious tonight. And until the board makes a decision, no individual board member really has the authority to tell you. We are not, as individuals, empowered with any authority. We're only a board when we're together and voting. So we will always try, ma'am, to make sure that you have what you need. I'd like to say, as I look out here, when I talked to Mrs. Simmons about this, she was so quick to talk about the talents of those that she works closely with on the executive team. We all know that. We all have such respect for your ability. But as I said to Mrs. Simmons, the boat only has one steering wheel. Someone has to be in charge. And I'm so grateful that you have the attitude that you have. Frankly, I was very impressed with how you settled employee contracts. I know in some districts, employee contracts can be a rocky road, but Mrs. Simmons and her team handled everything remarkably well at a time when there were other things going on. So you stayed the course and drove right through the fog, and I know that you will do that again. And as Mrs. Walker said, you have a tremendous amount of support from this Board of Education, who are going to stand back and be legislators and allow you to be the administrators. I told you that yesterday on the telephone. So thank you very much, Jill. And to the other members of the executive team, thank you for your commitment. Appreciate it. I have a brief statement. It's going to be posted on the website, and what it says is, in a mutually agreed upon resolution, the Wayne Westland Community Schools Board of Education voted this morning in special session to end the school district's administrative relationship with Superintendent Dr. Shelley Holt. The board voted unanimously to accept the resignation and resolution agreement, which allows both the school district and Dr. Holt to accept Dr. Holt's resignation and move forward in a positive manner. Personally, I wish Dr. Holt nothing but the best as she moves on, and I thank her for the many positive contributions she made to the school district during her time as superintendent. The mutual agreement addresses not only Dr. Holt's tenure with Wayne Westland, but results in the dismissal of her pending lawsuit against the school district. The resolution of these matters allows the Board of Education to move forward with a search process to hire a new superintendent. During the search process, the district's current Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources and Operations, Mrs. Jill Simmons, will serve as interim superintendent. Ms. Simmons, by the way, earned her bachelor's degree in business administration from Eastern Michigan University and a master's degree in human resources and employment relations with concentrations in employment law and labor relations from Penn State. She's been employed by Wayne Westland for 9 years. Mrs. Simmons will be supported by Dr. Sue Carnell, with whom the board has entered into a consultant agreement, or soon will. Dr. Carnell had served as interim superintendent since July 2019, but was limited, as I said earlier, by the Michigan retirement rules as to the amount of time she could serve as an administrator. Now, the Board of Education will now begin the process of identifying a new superintendent to lead our district in what will surely be one of the most exciting rebuilding eras in the district history. With stable finances, new employee contracts in place, major facility upgrades on the horizon, and a new curriculum coming online, the school district is looking forward to making positive changes in virtually every area of study for every student. And our mission is to educate and prepare all of our students to be knowledgeable, responsible, contributing members of a global society. This requires a dedicated teaching and administrative staff functioning in an environment that recognizes and appreciates that dedication. And the board is committed to maintaining that environment for all employees who work here. Thank you very much for your time this morning. My final comment is, why did we meet at 7 a.m.? Because that's the absolute soonest we could arrange for all parties who needed to be here to be here. Thank you very much. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Mrs. Madell, supported by Mrs. Hines. Is there discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no? The ayes have it. We're adjourned. Thank you and good morning.